Divorced, I, Emily, have a daughter, Sarah, who is a college student living a little far from me. Now that Sarah has turned 21 while in college, she decided to come back home so we could celebrate her birthday. That evening, my new husband and his son, Jake, along with the rest of the family, were all gathered.
Sarah, welcome back and happy birthday. Here, this is for you.
Jake had always been thoughtful towards Sarah. Every now and then, he would buy her cute clothes.
Huh? Are you sure?
Jake pulled a paper bag from somewhere and handed it to Sarah.
Open it.
With a nervous expression, Sarah carefully opened the bag. Inside was a stylish, boyish trench coat, exactly her taste. Sarah's face instantly lit up.
This is amazing. I love it. Thank you so much.
Seeing her reaction, Jake looked pleased. Even when Sarah returned to her apartment, she left wearing that coat. I guess the next time we see each other will be for Christmas and New Year's, right? You're coming home?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Then, as the holidays approached, I got a call from Sarah saying she was coming home. Since my husband, Michael, and Jake were both busy with year-end work, I decided to pick her up at the station by myself. She would surely be wearing that coat. Just thinking about it made me excited. Before long, Sarah appeared at the station exit, but she wasn't wearing the coat Jake had given her. Welcome back. What happened to that coat? It was totally your style, so I was sure you'd be wearing it. The moment I asked, Sarah's face turned pale.
Oh, that coat. You'll understand if you try it on.
What do you mean? My ex-husband, Ryan, never cared about our family. He adored our only daughter, Sarah, but he was even more obsessed with his job. I can't take this anymore. Let's get a divorce.
Emily, what about Sarah?
Of course, I'm taking custody of her. He was always too focused on work, barely coming home, spending every night at business dinners. And even when he did come home, he would bring colleagues and juniors over, expecting me to cook for them. To make things worse, he used up the money meant for the household on his endless business trips. I'd had enough of this chaos, and that's what led us to this conversation today.
I have a lot to say, but I guess it goes both ways. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. A new, challenging life was ahead of me, but for now, I felt at peace. Several years passed. Now, I was having dinner with Michael, a business associate from the company I worked for. I had been dating Michael for about a year, and he had met Sarah, now in elementary school, many times. They seemed to get along well, often laughing together, even without me around. He was a bit older than me, thoughtful, and above all, had a warm, charming smile. That night, we enjoyed our dinner, chatting about lighthearted things. Then suddenly, Michael's expression turned serious. Michael? Is something wrong?
Emily, I need you to really listen to what I'm about to say.
His words and intense gaze made my heart race.
Will you marry me?
Just a few minutes ago, the mood had been completely different. The air around us turned silent, yet somehow it felt bright and warm. A second proposal, this time completely unexpected. I was momentarily stunned, but didn't hesitate to say yes. There was no round of applause in the restaurant, but I could feel the kind, knowing glances from the other diners, and that alone made me feel a little self-conscious.
Oh, thank God. I was so worried you might say no.
Come on, I was just a little surprised, but I'm really happy.
I'm relieved. Proposing never gets easier, does it?
Heh, no, it doesn't. I feel the same way. Just like I said, my heart was beating twice as fast as usual. Time passed, and the day finally came for us to live under the same roof.
Hello, my dad told me about you. I know him a little late, but from now on, I look forward to being part of the family.
Michael had a 20-year-old son, Jake. I had heard about him before, but since he traveled a lot for work, I hadn't had the chance to meet him until today. Unlike Michael, who had a gentle demeanor and an easygoing smile, Jake had a cool and distant aura, making him seem a bit hard to approach. But he was extremely polite and treated both me and Sarah with respect. Nice to meet you, Jake.
Nice to meet you too.
Sarah, right? You don't need to be so formal. Just relax.
I had worried that his reserved nature might make things awkward, but perhaps because of the age gap, I could tell he was trying to be considerate of Sarah. That put my biggest concern to rest. As for me, I hoped we could take our time getting closer as a family. But to do that, I needed to understand him better. I decided that when the time was right, I would ask Michael properly about Jake. That night, Sarah had school the next day, and Jake had a business trip, so they both went to bed early. Now, it was just Michael and me sitting in the dining room, drinking and discussing our future. Then, I suddenly thought of Jake and decided to ask Michael more about him. Jake is very polite and well-mannered. What was he like as a child?
He hasn't changed much since then. But
Michael hesitated for a moment before slowly opening his mouth.
actually, his mother passed away from an illness 3 years ago. It happened when he was at a difficult age, and he lost the one person who truly understood him. And well, Jake isn't my biological son. He's my stepson. So even now, we're still figuring out our relationship.
Hearing something I hadn't known before left me a little unsettled.
I'm sorry. I should have told you something this important earlier.
No, but in that case, we're in the same position, aren't we?
That's right. I need to face things properly too.
From now on, you have me. Let's work through this together.
Thank you.
It was definitely a heavy topic, but I felt relieved that we could share our concerns with each other. As time passed and we settled into our new family life, one thing continued to weigh on my mind. Jake and I had no common ground, and since he was always traveling, we barely had the chance to talk at all. At this rate, I had no way of truly understanding who he was as a person. On the other hand, his relationship with Sarah seemed to be going well. Every time he returned from a trip, he would bring her adorable clothes decorated with frills and ribbons. Sarah was always happy about it, which reassured me that my initial impression of him being hard to approach was just my imagination. At the same time, I often thought, I hope he doesn't feel like he has to go out of his way for her. Maybe he was just trying to be a good older brother. However, things changed when Sarah entered middle school. Hey, what happened to the clothes Jake gave you?
Well, they're a bit too cute for me now. You know, I started liking a more boy style lately.
As soon as she entered middle school, Sarah's fashion preferences became more apparent. She had once happily worn the cute outfits Jake brought her, but now she avoided them completely. She was right. Lately, she wore pants more than skirts, and her overall style leaned more toward cool than cute. I felt bad about it, but fashion was a matter of personal taste. There was nothing anyone could do about that. But the one who took issue with this was Jake. I understood that it wasn't right to dismiss the thoughtful gifts he had spent his own money on. I felt the same way. But Jake was even more upset than I expected. Whenever he saw Sarah not wearing the clothes he had bought for her, he would scowl and demand, "What happened to the clothes I got you?" Sarah never knew how to answer, so I would step in, only for Jake to shoot me a cold, sharp glare. It was a look that clearly said, "I wasn't talking to you." Every time he looked at me like that, I felt a chill run down my spine. His eyes were dark, so dark I couldn't read what he was thinking. Sarah, too, was starting to find his persistent questioning annoying. She didn't show it too much, but it was clear that Jake was getting more persistent and more intense. Fortunately or unfortunately, because Jake was often away on business trips, these conflicts didn't happen too frequently. It seemed that Sarah had also learned how to avoid confrontation. Whenever Jake was around or about to return, she made a point of wearing the clothes he had bought for her as much as possible. Even so, every time he came back from a trip, he would walk through the door with his hands full of shopping bags, handing them to Sarah with a big smile. I had no idea what was driving him so strongly, and it left me deeply confused. So, I decided to ask him directly. "Hey, Jake, can I ask you something?"
What is it?
Whenever we talked like this, he would respond politely and properly, but I still couldn't forget those eyes of his. "Why do you keep buying Sarah so many clothes?"
Oh, that.
He sighed, as if it was a question he didn't really want to answer.
I just want her to wear them. And I'd like to get along with her, too.
Did he not realize that his actions were starting to have the opposite effect? I knew that bringing this up would likely upset him, so I swallowed my words. You've already done plenty. You don't have to keep trying so hard for Sarah.
It's fine. I enjoy it.
It seemed like a subtle approach wouldn't work with him. I see. Just don't push yourself too much, okay? Time passed, and Sarah successfully entered high school. To mark the fresh start, she cut her long hair, which had once reached her chest, into a short bob. Sarah had always had a small face, and her new boyish haircut suited her perfectly. Wanting to show her off, I called Michael and Jake into the living room for the big reveal. Look, Sarah got a short haircut. Doesn't it suit her?
Stop hyping me up so much. It's embarrassing.
But while I was happily celebrating, Jake suddenly exploded in rage.
Why? Why did you cut your hair? You're a girl. You should dress like one.
He stormed out of the living room. The sudden outburst left me, Sarah, and even Michael speechless. What was that? Sarah sat there, stunned, unable to respond.
I'm sorry. I've never seen Jake lose his temper like that before.
None of us understood what was going on. Michael, seeming to remember something, stood up and hurried after Jake. Meanwhile, I instinctively pulled Sarah into a hug. I'm sure it's nothing. Don't worry. I'm here for you.
Mom, he kind of scares me.
I, too, couldn't understand Jake, and I couldn't find the words to reassure Sarah. The next day, Jake came home after work carrying something. Without saying a word, he handed it to Sarah.
What is this?
Sarah asked hesitantly.
A wig. Wear it whenever I'm around.
Inside the bag was a wig the same length as Sarah's hair had been until yesterday, just as Jake had said. I still didn't understand what was driving him, but it was clear he wanted Sarah to be cute and feminine. His obsession unsettled me deeply. From then on, Jake became even more controlling about Sarah's appearance. Concerned, Sarah and I decided to talk to Michael.
I'm sorry, but I don't understand either. Like I said before, I've never seen Jake act like this. Even when I asked him about it, he wouldn't say anything.
Sarah, have you thought about going to college out of state? If you live on your own, he won't be able to keep telling you what to do.
Yeah, maybe I should think about that. Don't worry about the money. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
In the end, Sarah spent all 3 years of high school dressing the way Jake wanted. As planned, she applied to an out-of-state college. She got accepted, marking the start of a new chapter in her life. At last, she had a chance to break free from this strange control. While in college, Sarah turned 21, and she decided to come home so we could celebrate. Of course, she wore the wig.
I'm home.
Welcome back. I still didn't understand why she had to do this every time, and my anxiety only grew. That evening, the whole family gathered.
Sarah, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm home.
If it weren't for his obsession with Sarah's appearance, Jake would just be a quiet, cool young man. Because she was still dressing to please him, their interactions seemed normal, but maybe that contrast was what made him so terrifying.
Happy birthday. Here, this is for you.
Thanks.
Once again, he pulled out a shopping bag from somewhere and handed it to Sarah. Michael and I exchanged glances. We already knew how this would play out, and just watching it felt exhausting. Sarah, now more mature, no longer showed obvious irritation. But there was something in her expression, like she was staring down a threat.
Go ahead, open it.
At this point, not obeying wasn't an option. With stiff, nervous hands, Sarah opened the bag. Inside was a sleek, boyish trench coat, exactly her style. Her face lit up instantly.
I always wanted you to wear what I liked, but I was wrong. So I picked this thinking you'd actually like it.
Yeah. It's amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Seeing her reaction, Jake smiled with genuine happiness. Watching them, I finally felt a sense of relief, but at the same time, memories of the past came flooding back. I felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders, knowing I no longer had to worry about strange things. It seemed Michael felt the same way as we exchanged small smiles. Sarah left for home wearing the coat. I guess the next time we see each other will be for Christmas and New Year's, right? You're coming back?
Yeah, that's the plan.
I'll drive you to the station.
Really? Thanks, Dad.
Sarah seemed to be in a great mood. This was the first time, as far as I knew, that she had called Michael Dad. Michael looked delighted and grinned as he started the car. There had been a lot of trouble with Jake, but things had finally settled down. For the first time, it truly felt like we had become a real family. As the holidays approached, I got a call from Sarah saying she was coming home. Since Michael and Jake were both busy with year-end work, I decided to pick her up at the station by myself. She would surely be wearing that coat. The last time she wore it at home, she had the wig on, so I hadn't been able to see her real haircut. But today, I would finally see her in that trench coat with her natural short hair. I was sure it would suit her perfectly. Just thinking about it made me excited. I arrived at the station and checked the time. Right on schedule. Before long, Sarah came through the ticket gate, but she wasn't wearing the trench coat Jake had given her. Welcome back. What happened to that coat? It's totally your style, so I figured you'd be wearing it. I asked out of simple curiosity. but the response I got was hesitant and uneasy.
Oh, that coat. You'll understand if you try it on.
Sarah's face turned pale. What do you mean? She glanced at the back seat, making sure no one else was there, and then started explaining.
That coat had a GPS tracker and a listening device hidden inside.
Her shocking confession left me speechless.
I couldn't believe it either.
How? How did you find out? I asked hesitantly, and Sarah slowly began recounting the story.
Every time I wore that coat, I would almost always run into Jake. Doesn't that seem weird? I mean, I was going all the way to another state. At first, he'd say, "Oh, my business trip happened to be nearby," and I believed him, but it happened way too often.
As I listened, my whole body started trembling with fear.
So eventually, I got suspicious and checked the code. That's when I found a tiny device inside. Ever since then, I haven't worn it.
There was no doubt about it. Jake was the one who planted it. I felt more fear than anger, as if an icicle had stabbed me in the back. This was beyond disturbing. I had to tell Michael immediately. Even knowing he was at work, I dialed his number.
No way. Jake did that?
I told Michael everything Sarah had told me, word for word. He was clearly in shock, just as I had been. He couldn't even find the words to respond. I had hoped Michael, as his father, would be the one to handle the situation, but seeing him like this, I knew that wasn't going to happen. By this point, my fear had started to give way to anger. No matter what it took, I was going to make Jake pay for what he had done. I couldn't just let him get away with terrifying my daughter like this. With no other choice, I decided to contact someone I really didn't want to.
What? Are you kidding me?
As expected, the first person to react with immediate rage was Ryan. He had always doted on Sarah, and that clearly hadn't changed.
I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm going to make sure he regrets ever messing with Sarah.
If we use the coat, we can probably lure him out. Meet me in front of the station at 7. We'll confront him there.
Got it. I'll drop everything at work.
A little past 7 p.m. at the station. Just as planned, Jake showed up, completely unaware of who was waiting for him.
Oh, Mom? What are you doing here?
I'm waiting for you.
You must be the one. Wait a minute. You look familiar. Jake, isn't it?
Huh? Before he could ask, "How do you know that?" Jake, in shock, opened his mouth.
Vice President?
You know him?
Know him? He works for me. So, you're the one who's been stalking Sarah?
The veins on Ryan's forehead bulged with fury. I've got proof right here. Now explain yourself.
No, sir. This has to be some kind of mistake.
Save it. I already know you've been following Sarah. Tell me everything.
Jake seemed to realize there was no way out. and after stumbling over his words, he finally started to talk.
A long time ago, there was this idol I loved, but she grew up, got married, had a kid. And then I met Sarah. She looked just like her.
For the first time, the mystery that had surrounded Jake's obsession was finally starting to make sense.
I wanted Sarah to stay just as cute as she was forever. That's why I kept buying her clothes. I just wanted her to wear them.
Now I understood why he had been so furious when Sarah cut her hair. If that had been all, maybe, just maybe, I could have let it go. But then, what about the GPS and the bug?
That's because Sarah moved away. I just wanted her to stay close.
And whose fault do you think that is? She left because you kept forcing things on her. You scared her away.
You've got to be kidding me. You put her through all this for such a ridiculous reason?
Ryan was beyond furious. Then suddenly, his tone changed, becoming eerily calm as he stepped closer to Jake.
By the way, this coat looks pretty expensive.
I didn't do it. I never used the company's expense account.
I tilted my head.
Oh, funny. No one said anything about company money disappearing. So that was you too, huh?
What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. Lately, there's been talk about someone stealing company funds, and it looks like we found our culprit.
From the way the conversation was going, it was clear that Jake had used stolen company money to buy the coat.
No, it wasn't me. You have no proof.
At this point, I was too exasperated to even respond.
Jake, you don't need to come to work anymore.
Just then, Michael, who had been listening from the shadows, stepped forward.
So, everything I just heard is true?
Dad, I would never do something like that. Please believe me.
I don't care about the money. What matters is whether you, Jake, were hurting my daughter, Sarah.
Hurting her? No. I just wanted to see her.
You're disowned.
No way.
And just like that, Jake lost both his family and his job in a single night. In the end, the accusations of embezzlement turned out to be true, and word quickly spread. Just as Ryan had said, Jake was fired and was even facing a lawsuit. The price of his foolish actions was steep. Later, when I talked to Sarah, she admitted that, for years, she had never been able to wear the fashion she truly liked. Worse still, Jake's obsessive behavior had made her develop a fear of men. As her mother, I regretted not realizing it sooner. I was overwhelmed with shame and frustration. But there was no point in dwelling on the past or regretting what had already happened. From now on, though it might be too late, I vowed to spoil her as much as I could and let her do what she truly loved. One day, Sarah came to me with an idea.
I want to go to a fashion school.
Maybe it was her way of rebelling against all the years Jake had controlled her. Or maybe Now that she was free of her fears, she finally felt ready to chase her own dreams. Either way, she had become much more vocal about what she wanted. I want to give her the chance to do what she couldn't before. With that in mind, I talked to Michael about it together with Sarah.
Please let me do this.
I'm asking too, please. Michael, perhaps feeling guilty himself, nodded immediately.
Of course. After everything, you should be able to do what makes you happy.
Really? That's amazing. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom.
From that day on, it was like Sarah had become a completely different person. She threw herself into fashion, balancing her college coursework with intense study. Her passion was so inspiring. Even I found myself wondering if I should try something new. Now she boldly embraces the stylish, cool fashion she loves, enjoying her life to the fullest. Before long, Sarah successfully transferred to the fashion school she had been aiming for. She began expressing her individuality more than ever, staying true to her own path.
How about this? Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it looks great. Short hair and a boyish style really suit you best, Sarah.
Right. I have an amazing sense of style.
She truly shines when she talks about fashion.
Maybe you should help me with my wardrobe too. I always wear the same kind of clothes.
Of course. Let's go shopping together next time.
Wait, am I being left out?
Of course not, Mom. You're coming too.
Sometime after she transferred, I was surprised to hear that Sarah had a boyfriend. Hearing that he was someone who respected her individuality made me feel even more at ease. Michael teared up when he heard the news. I wondered how Ryan would react when he found out. Sarah had been through so much. That's why, from the bottom of my heart, I wished for her path ahead to be filled with happiness.